Peters was speaking at a conference of African energy ministers and international power utility executives in Cape Town. This report by Andre Jordan.
Peters has told the delegates that a final feasibility study on a solar power plant at Uppington is going well. She says this follows a successful conference with potential international investors held last October.
It remains our conviction that initiatives like the proposed solar park will facilitate and cultivate the development and growth of a localized manufacturing industry and strategically position our country as a central hub in the growth of the global solar industry.
Peters has emphasized that a requirement for investors in the solar park will be that key components are locally produced. She says the aim is not only to create jobs in the manufacturing industry, but also to reduce greenhouse gas emissions involved in large-scale imports.
Imagine planes and planes of cargo carrying components to South Africa. That does not necessarily deal with the challenge that we have of greenhouse gas emissions, because you just translate them to another source of energy production, which is the jet fuels.
Peters says the government is encouraged by the private sector's readiness to get involved in renewable energy projects. She says the government will this year put in place enabling legislation and policies on issues such as renewable energy feed-in tariffs for private producers and an integrated energy resources plan. She says the remapping of South Africa's wind atlas has provided potential investors with free access to information about the most favourable locations for wind farms.
I think anybody who's in the renewable energy space should be actually happy and applaud South Africa for the enabling an environment that we create, the facilitation that we do. We had the solar conference, which actually opened up exactly where the pre-feasibility study said the ideal areas are for investment in solar energy, but also with the wind stations and the wind map that we have also given those who are in the wind energy sector an opportunity to realize where to locate their investments. So you are not going to be groping in the dark and looking for where to invest. We have already done the work for you.
However, Peters says the government is not abandoning the country's coal reserves as a source of power generation. She says the renewable projects which are to be launched will provide a test of the extent to which green energy can reduce the country's current reliance on coal and nuclear energy for baseline electricity generation.
It is important for us as South Africa to realize that we cannot say to that more than 25% of South Africans that don't have access to power that we will never use coal. And it will also be wrong for us not to use coal when we are endowed with coal as South Africa. What we need to do is to make sure that we invest in research and development of clean technologies that can make it possible for us to continue using coal, but in a very responsible way.
Energy Minister Dipuo Peters speaking at the African Utilities Week conference in Cape Town. And that report was from Andre Jordan.